Hi everyone. It's really on behalf of Thomson Reuters. I'm the Chief Content Officer at Thomson Reuters. I think some of you have seen me here for the last few years. We've been very, very delighted to be involved with Luan and the whole crowdfunding industry for about 3 years. And Luan always has me come in as the subject matter expert to introduce cocktails. I'm beginning to take that quite personally. But I do it well, I can assure you. The danger of coming at the end of a conference, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be here today. I had an operating committee meeting all day, but a number of my team have been here. The challenge is you come in and you make some remarks that sound quite stupid, given everything else that's been said that day. So I will keep my remarks very, very brief. I have to say that one of the reasons that I find the whole crowdfunding business really fascinating from a personal and a professional perspective is that I really see that it sits in the confluence of some of the most exciting things that are happening in the world today. It sits in the confluence, I think, of social platforms, data, and technology. You know, I gave the keynote or the commencement address at Baruch College Campus High School this year, and I did all this research on millennials as I went to speak there. And really, you know, when you focus in on how millennials are changing the world and creating social platforms, it's really extraordinary. You know, to live in a world, I think, where if you look at Uber, the largest transportation company in the world that owns no vehicles, you look at Airbnb, the largest hotel chain in the world that owns no real estate, and just the power of social platforms is enormous, and the ability for a social platform to really drive sweeping change in just a few years is really, really extraordinary. You know, when you think about the crowdfunding industry, I read an interesting statistic that said 30% of millennials believe that in 5 years they will not use a traditional bank. I actually thought they were talking about my millennial children who don't think they use a bank now, they just use their mother and father. But I did think what was particularly interesting was that 12% of small business owners, millennial small business owners, are now using alternative forms of funding to bank funding for their businesses. I am sure none of that comes as a surprise to any of you in this room who are really making, you know, your next business success in this space. For me, I think when I looked at social platforms, data and technology, the data economy is the one that interests me the most, obviously as Chief Content Officer of Thomson Reuters. And anyone who I think has any doubt that we live in the data economy, you would only have needed to be at Salesforce.com's big conference last week. Some of you are nodding your head, some of you were there. And certainly it was not lost on me that everybody was talking about data. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, I did think it was interesting for those of you who tried to do demos today. His demo crashed 10 times in his keynote, so that I thought was quite interesting. I would never do a live demo in front of 10,000 people. But his comment, which I think was very, very interesting, is that the next generation of technology is about data. He also said that the next platform is conversation. Now, I think you can talk about conversational community or transactions. I think those are interchangeable. For me at Thomson Reuters, I always come away, or I came away from Dreamforce kind of scratching my head a little bit, because if you've been in the financial industry for as long as I have, which is 30 years, you know, data is what we do. The financial markets would not exist if there wasn't data. The challenge that we've had is just over the decades, what we've had to solve for has been changing. You know, if you go back to the dawn of financial markets, it was, you know, people came to exchanges to share information. We then had to solve the problem of connecting markets. We then had to solve the challenge of bringing transparency out of closed markets. And now the challenge that we're really faced with is, how do I really derive relevant information and trusted information and insights from a veritable mountain of information? So for Thomson Reuters, you know, I think we are in the center of the universe. We are in the center of the data economy, but we just can't sit back and watch these changes from the sidelines. We have to leap in, because for us, continue to be a platform that links consumers of information and suppliers of information, we have to change how we do things. We have to take many of those digital experiences from social platforms and imbue them in the way that we pass content from suppliers to consumers. We built one of the most successful foreign exchange dealing markets back in 1981. There's many parallels from that to what's happening here in the crowdfunding space. So for us, it's all at Thomson Reuters now around how we look at using digital tools and technologies that we see in the B2C space to revolutionise our professional and institutional customers' interaction with data. It's all about how we use machine-based learning, natural language processing and other automation to try to make big data small and relevant to users. And it's all about continuing to connect communities. To do that, we are making a very big play. We're opening up our information model. We're working with customers to help them connect and integrate data, which is the challenge of anyone that's looking to have their business driven by data. And to that end, I am very, very excited that we have recently put out a press release with Luan from Crowdnetic announcing two things. One is to have the Crowdnetic capabilities and information available on the Thomson Reuters platform, where I think we are really doing our bit to connect the crowdfunding community with the traditional financial community. And I'm also very delighted that Luan, as a real innovator in this space, is now using our symbology, our Perm ID, to start connecting and making big data relevant. So it's been wonderful to have been on this journey with you all for the last 3 years. I am very, very excited about the future in the crowdfunding space, and it's really a privilege to sort of be engaged with you from the fringes. And on that note, I'd like to invite you all to join us for cocktails, and I hope to have a chance to chat with you. Thank you very much.